What is up, everybody? If I start to sweat, no, I did not. I got the windows open. The wind is blowing, and I am so sorry I am late to this live. Holy shit. But anyways, hi, hello, I am Fire Lotus the Witch. I've been doing these here on YouTube for about a year now. Um, as in this is my first year doing them here on my YouTube page, but I started out on Facebook, and yeah, I've been doing all of this for about 5 years now. In these lives, we go over spirituality, witchcraft, sometimes conspiracies, a little bit of ET action. Um, but yeah, just like in general, depending on the comments, is depending on where the conversation goes. If you joined me for my live that I did yesterday, which is what I call my after live, that or after hour live, that will be posted a little bit later on today. That was actually a really, really good conversation and cool conversation that we had yesterday. Um, Today, though, we're going to be talking about, and there, this shout out to Darren, our Derry, who suggested and kind of also gave me the idea, talking about magical foundations and why it's extremely important. There's also an occultist that gave me this idea too, and it's something that if you are online as a practitioner, as a teacher or a mentor, hello, it's something really, really good to take into mind to start trying to basically start trying to help people do that. The reason having a foundation for anything, honestly, to have that, it's really, really good. Specifically when it comes to your spirituality and witchcraft, what we mean by the foundation, for one, what you believe. Obviously, that is going to change. Originally, I started out with Wicca, and I mean like pure Wicca. And through the years, I've changed, no path is going to be a straight path. It's going to be all over the place. And sometimes, a lot of the times, you'll either circle completely back. Um, but when we say there are basics to witchcraft and paganism, what we mean by that are there are certain steps that need to be taken before doing a hex, a curse, before trying to summon a deity or a infernal or some what I like to call ancient or older energy. The reason this is because if not done properly, you can physically and mentally and spiritually get hurt. Alrighty then. I love Google when my phone randomly gives me an update that I don't remember. Um, but with that, and a lot of people are going to ask, okay, well, what are the basics? I'm actually going to be working with two other people on trying to. There's actually one person that I know. They actually run the Appalachia Discord. They have a spreadsheet on their profile. I'll probably be live for about an hour, hour and a half. But I got to check their spreadsheet out to see. But basically, the basics of what I would say the basics of the things that you would need to know within the first year of practicing. For one, you need to understand spell formula. Actually, no, I'm ahead of myself. Number one is energy work. What do I mean by this? So, and I understand what I'm about to say. Not everybody is an atheist. I am, though. An atheist basically means this right here has a spirit. Everything, no matter human, no matter man made, has some type of essence or spirit to it. I like to say essence instead of energy because energy confuses a lot of people because we use that term all the time. What is up? What is up? Um, but energy work. Now, I'm actually going to try today to upload a video that I did yesterday on TikTok that actually puts the exercises that I know in one video. Um, I will get to you in a second. I had a reading that I had to do this morning, and I love customers, but we all get those one customers that they don't understand that we have other things that we have to do as well. Um, but energy work is crucial to any magical practice. Now, when I say this, you can be spiritual and not be a witch, but if you are a witch, you need to learn how to work with energy or essences. What I mean by this is a lot of the times, thanks to TikTok, we'll see videos where the people are just now, obviously, in their own personal practice, I know it's going to be different, but the way videos are made, they don't show the energy manipulation added. What do I mean by that? Say I was doing a simple candle spell using 2 herbs, 3 crystals, and 2 oils, right? For one, when I would pick those oils up, because the oil company that I use has it's one oil but can be used in multiple different ways, and it can even be joined together. For one, you're going to carve your candle, depending on how you do that. And then as you're adding the oil, you're going to tap into the essence that oil has, the herbs in that oil. Also, with the candle in itself, you're going to get them to kind of do a magical tango to get their energies almost circulating, as in they just conjoin one another, right? Same with the crystals. You can also use crystals, and this is also where tools come in at if you want to use tools. Most tools when it comes to witchcraft, like the sword, the pendulum, or not, yeah, the pendulum, the athame, the wand, one of the main reasons it's crucial in the first year, especially if you cannot visualize in your head what those tools are to direct that energy to where it needs to be directed to. And with me, I'm to the point to where I love either using pendulums or I will straight up use my hands. And it looks weird for someone who doesn't practice magic because it looks like I'm just like stimming or like waving my hands depending on what I'm doing. But you're connecting with those energies. And then after you've set everything up, you're going to connect all of the items that you were using for the spell. You're connecting that energy together. And then normally you pull it up and push it out. That right there is the baseline basics of doing magic. So for somebody, and this was an actual discussion recently, if you've been following me long enough on TikTok, I did an experiment because people got it in their heads that magic is just setting your intention. And I'm like, no, it's not. There are some magics where all you have to do is set your intention, but it's more than just setting your intention. And how I did that was I literally randomly got a green candle. I got money drawing oil. And basically just set my intention that I was going to get $100. I did, in fact, not get that $100. I got, I think, 25 to 75 out of that within a day. The second day, I actually did and fixed a full candle, as in I did the actual amount that I wanted, which was $100. And by the end of the day, I actually made $100. And the reason that I did that is because I encourage other witches to do that as well. And that's the point of witchcraft as well. I remember you doing this experiment. Exactly. And it worked perfectly because, yes, there are things that setting your intention, it is crucial, but it's more than that. Just throwing herbs on a candle, even if you have that candle carved with the intention, just throwing herbs on it, setting it on fire, and just walking away, that's not going to really do that much. And that could be one of the reasons spells are not fully working. A lot of people, thanks to the internet, want instant results, and magic is not that way. Now that we got that out of the way with working with energy, your next one would be obviously grounding. Ground and centering, that's extremely important. That's also what the witch's hat can represent. It has multiple different types of meanings, but it's the circle and then the cone of power, but that's also you're in the center of it, which is why we wear it, right? So picture the witch's hat. It's a perfect circle with the cone of power going up. That also is representing us to center ourselves. Now, not all witches do that. There are multiple spells that I do where I will not ground and or center myself because I will use raw emotions behind certain spells. And eventually you will get to the point where you will kind of manifest things. And yes, manifestation is different than setting your intentions. But there are a lot of things that, especially if you match them with crystals, like lavenderite, it's a manifestation stone, which means it can help you manifest things. There are a couple of conversations that have already started, but I love it, which is if you have depression, you also tend to manifest things faster without necessarily having to do actual like the candles and oils or all the other techniques you can do. And that's because our bodies don't really, a lot of the times we don't have enough energy to really do something. So when we focus all of our intent and all of our might on one specific thing to pull it into us, we do tend to actually manifest things faster. Your second or third one, a lot of people always focus on the historical part, the gods and goddesses. For one, just because you're a witch, you do not even have to recognize that gods and goddesses exist. I know plenty of, like it was said in a comment of a video, I personally also know plenty of atheists. Not most witches. Biggest lesson being patient and not refusing to learn it. Exactly. And like spells do take patience. Some can manifest instantly. Others may take shit. I've had spells that I did when I was 16 that did not manifest until like last year. But this is a lot also where some of the confusion is coming from too, because a lot of people don't understand that you need to focus on the energy. You need to focus on grounding yourself, because if when you're raising energy by doing spells and rituals, if you do too much of that, it can cause physical reactions like a headache, a migraine that will last for a week and a half. That one was not fun. And then after that, after you've learned the basics of that, then you can start to kind of move on to learning the correspondences, whether that's herbal, color magic, scent magic. But you need to know the actual basics. And the more that you know about that and the more that you have confidence in those basics to set that foundation, you're going to have a stronger foundation to build stuff off of. Like the fire lotus and the lotus family, I've drug my feet as slow as I possibly can to make sure that I have a very, very strong set foundation. Now, a lot of people, not a lot of people have actually talked about this. Spiritual burnout is trash. 0 to 10. It really is, and it sucks. Like, more than likely the month of July, I'll probably be taking like a 3-week hiatus so I can also kind of just relax and like unpack everything, because this has been an amazing, incredible year. Like in the next few weeks, in the coming month, I have something that I am so fucking mortified to do, but I need to do it, so I'll be able to get over that. But confidence is something you need to have in your practice. Even if you don't have confidence in life, have confidence in your abilities and your power, because the more that you have confidence in it, and the more that you start trusting your gut and your instincts, more is going to slowly flow to you. Now, with the historical aspect, with witchcraft, if you want to go down that route, yes, obviously it is great to have. I did not deep dive into paganism. I learned the base definitions of it. And then reading all the books that I've read, like The Crooked Path, that is an excellent book to read. It goes over traditional witchcraft, but it mentions multiple other paths and how they were all kind of eventually. It's witchcraft can be very, very cool if you look at the different types of paths, but the problem with that is a lot of people just get completely overwhelmed. Confidence is line up for the first finger of Jupiter's finger. Oh, I like that. But once you have that set up, that's when you can kind of just fill out yourself. Now, a great book for beginners, or even seasoned witches, if you have not read it yet, I would suggest you picking up or getting Christopher Penczak's The Temple of Witchcraft books, specifically the first 2. The first one, they don't teach you like a normal Wicca book would, because he teaches you how to do everything in your mind. He teaches you how to make a mindscape. And I know that book may not be right, because there are certain people that actually half the world just found out that they can't actually visualize. But I like the way that he writes, because any book that I pick up and the author is like, you do it this way or it doesn't work. Nope. That's a bad book. Palmistry is kind of like the cheat codes of spiritual gifts. See, I have 2 books on palmistry, but I've never fully deep dived it. Eventually I will. It's on my bucket list. But, and then I actually encourage people to do, especially beginners, because it's more organizative, almost following Wicca for a year and a day. The reason I'm saying that is because Wicca is extremely established, as in it's very organized. That is what you're going to need in the first 1 to 2 years of your practice. That way you don't get overwhelmed, because if you get overwhelmed with trying to research everything and trying to like grab that information, you're going to get burned out on it, and you're going to wind up walking away from it. Trust me, I've walked away from my practice multiple times, and then, depending on the day, within 5 minutes, walk right back to it. The fastest hand sign to develop the entire palm is the yoni hand sign. Oh, okay. See, you're teaching me things. But having a set foundation, and what we mean by that is, like I said, when I post that video, this one person goes way more in detail to it. I actually want to make a TikTok video for people who can't visualize on how to make mind space, because my friend can't, and I've been helping them make a mind space. Yes, please do. That would be so fucking helpful for so many people. But there are certain, I'm not going to say rules, but there are certain techniques that a proper witch needs to know before you go about doing these things. Like my very first spell was either a wish spell or a protection spell. You have people now that are full on hexing people without fully understanding it. Not to mention their spell formula, how to create a spell. And if you're into high magic, there's going to be one on rituals, how to properly put together a ritual. But a lot of people, though, they're expecting instant results. And with like collecting all of these gods and goddesses, you don't have to work with a god or goddess if you do not want to. With me, I only work with them when I do magic, when I actually do spell work. And I have a couple other ones that I have relationships with, but not in the way most people think of, oh, well, I work with so-and-so. I'm not dedicated to any one of them. I talk to them. But there's this misconception that people need to work with their god or goddess because that's where the power comes from, and that's bullshit. Your power comes from with you. Or, depending on how you believe it, some people believe that witches or gifted people have been blessed by the spirits. I use the waving hand sign, fingers stretch back, spread apart, and the sign works best for me because it doesn't screw up the rest of what I'm already. Okay, see, I like that. I feel like people are collecting gods and goddesses like Pokemon cards. They really are, and I don't understand it. And there's this trend where when they work with certain ones, they flex that. And I'm like, no. No. Also, I apologize that I have not been on live on TikTok due to one of my videos hitting the wrong side of TikTok and currently circulating. I've been slightly hesitant of going live over there. And for the people that don't know what I'm talking about, hold on. What did that just do? Okay. Sorry, y'all. I got to respond to this. I have a customer that I did not message before I jumped on live that I had something to do. And I didn't want to leave them hanging. But I created a video, I misspoke, or people took what they heard and ran with it. I did find out why, though. They thought that I was a youngin'. For the people that rewatch this and do not know, I am not a youngin'. I am 29. I turned 29 this year. I will be 30 next year. I have been practicing witchcraft for almost 20 years. I think I'm at like 18 or 19 at this point. The battle of religion is about the name to give power. Worshipping anything gives power to it. Everyone wants their god name to be the name above all. Right? And it drives me crazy. Common Lotus, we know you're actually 12. I know, right? I'm actually 12, and I have fooled everybody. 10. Oh, holy shit. There you go. But it really is. And I never, that's one thing that I have seen in the witchy communities from like all over. That's a common trend. And it's like I had one of my exes and technically a teacher tell me that I would never be a good witch because I don't have witch ancestry. And I'm like, okay, you know, you do what you do. You're a child, Lotus. You shouldn't even be on YouTube or TikTok. Shake my damn head. I know, right? My parents need to come away and just take this phone away. Universe, that is a joke. Don't be doing some fuckery shit with everything that's currently going on right now. But it drives me crazy because like some of these people like, and I know people are tired of hearing this. I'm sorry. I don't care if somebody like corrects me in a video, but as a teacher or a mentor, do it respectfully. Don't just like, heh. But anyways, um, just an insta ban, right? And I actually encourage people instead of trying to work with a god or goddess when you first start out, work with your ancestors and spirit guides. Do the 30-day spiritual challenge. You sit down and have a cup of tea or coffee or whatever you drink with your ancestors every day and talk to them. And the more and more you do this, the more and more you're building and strengthening that line of communication. Um, and I personally love working with my ancestors. Just take in mind, they will say whatever the fuck they want to say. And they have a twisted sense of humor. So just take that into account. Um, and the techniques that I'll also be sharing on here, using those techniques, they're going to strengthen not Beelzebub, fly, get the fuck away. They will strengthen and exercise where your psychic abilities come from, and working with energy more, and learning to control energies more, you're going to be able to it's going to bring confidence in itself into your practice. Because I still remember when I did my first spell for somebody else and it was like 100% successful. It's one of the most incredible feelings ever. What is this? Honestly, someone came and corrected me for saying the wrong name on one of the Excurrent videos, and I thanked them for correcting me, and they got snippy at me, and I was like, stop, why? Right? That's what I've been doing. I started to respond to a couple of people, and then I'm just like, thank you for your comment, or I'm like, we'll agree to disagree on that. And then somebody corrected me on that video because I did find out multiple cultures do use graveyard dirt, family graveyard dirt, or cemetery dirt on their property. And I was like, okay, thank you so much for correcting me. See, I learned something new. And they responded to, well, don't you think that's a little condescending? And I'm like, I just admitted that I was wrong and had already made a clarification video. People on the internet. But I have realized when a troll comes to you, if you don't react to them, it pisses them off 10 times more. The only psychic gift to the point of providing a way of life are birth star psychics, headed psychics with gifted people at Walmart scanning your groceries. Everyone is subject to their destiny, which is determined by your birth stars. Oh, I like that. That is why I'm not even responding to people, because they think it's a sign to get clout as a jerk. Exactly, and that's what they're doing with the videos. Like, I've had 2 people stitch that video and were perfectly fine. And then I had 6 people total yesterday stitch that video, and every single one of them completely ripped me apart, judged me, and thought that I was a youngin' or a witchling. And I'm like, okay. And they're still commenting, but I'm like, you know what? Keep on. You're just telling TikTok that this video is worth sharing, so keep it up. Because I mean, I hate Trisha Paytas. I don't hate her. I don't know her. I don't like her, but she's smart because she figured the internet out. You can't be canceled if you're a personality. I mean, I'm not a personality, as in that's another thing I wanted to talk about. So if you decide to start making content on the interwebs, try not to necessarily, a lot of people when they do start making things online, if they don't go by their birth names, they kind of like create a character, right? But what winds up happening with that is a lot of people, it gets tiring and it gets like stressful because it's like you're constantly having to be in that character. And then I also learned that if you wind up idolizing somebody and then you meet them and it's a personality versus who they actually are, when you meet them in real life, it's going to be an extreme disappointment. So with me, how I am in my videos is how I am in real life. I've joked with my partner that eventually I'm going to get my legal name changed to Fire Lotus. It won't be the witch part, but it'll be Fire Lotus. And the reason that is because, well, for one, I literally eat, breathe, and sleep witchcraft. Because this is my calling. It's a way for me to be able to heal people. And this is going to get a little deep. So I had a lot of fucked up shit happen to me from the age of like 4 all the way up until like fucking 20 something. Technically 18. And my partner looked at me and he's like, one day, because we have a lot of deep talks. And he looked at me one day and he's like, I don't understand why you're so nice. Like, you're helping everybody. You'll do everything you possibly can. And it's because I've been in other situations, and if I can prevent somebody else from being put into that situation, like um being talked down to, being condescending, what is the point of that? If I go to talk to somebody, I'm going to talk to them like they're on my level, because they are on my level. I'm not God. I get shit wrong all the fucking time. But what winds up happening, and thanks to that, and thanks to me not having a full ego, like a fully intact ego, and sucking at number values, I do not see myself how people online see me. I see myself as just a normal fucking witch trying to live his life every day. Um, and he looked at me and he's like, "You're special for that." And I've actually recently seen other people who had a lot of trauma who have said the same thing. They're like, "Well, why would we want to put somebody else through something that we went through?" But it wasn't until the other day, me and my partner was talking, and I'm like, I feel like I'm neglecting my craft. And that's just because I spend a lot of time online. And he looked at me and he stopped me and he's like, no, look me in the eyes. He's like, you've evolved. Therefore, your craft has also revolved. He's like, how do you give out all of this knowledge and never take any of it? I'm my own hypocrite. I give great advice sometimes, but I'm not going to take my own advice. And it was crazy though, because I've had a few readings, and every single time I start to doubt myself, or like doubt if I'm doing my own practice right, I'll wind up getting a reading and my ancestors will validate that I was wrong and I'm doing everything that I possibly can. And I kept figuring out why I kept falling into this loop, and it was because of social media. Because we're human. I started comparing other videos that I was seeing where, like, well, fuck, I'm not giving out daily offerings. I'm not sitting in front of my altar for 2.5 hours a day, praying, things like that. And then it dawned on me, because that's not who I am anymore. With my practice, if I have to, or if I get a feeling that some spirit or ancestor that I work with needs something, I'll do it right then and there. But I know this is slightly chaotic, and I promise you I'm pulling it around. What I mean by that is, nobody, and I don't care if they are your teacher, if they are your mentor, obviously respect them unless they disrespect you. Nobody on the internet, nobody outside of your physical and mental body is going to be able to dictate what you do and do not do in your craft. And for anybody who replays this, do not bring up no fucking close practice shit. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm trying to say, it's like in the Facebook groups and here on TikTok, I've seen so many witches have that spark of passion and interest, and like everybody, if you're a witch, you understand what I mean when you first get into it. And they're so excited because they just put their altar together for the very first time, and they feel a need to share that. That's the downfall, because they wind up sharing it, and somebody will wind up, always, it never fucking fails. There's at least 5 people that's like, well, I would have done this, or I would have done this, or I would take this away. Shut the fuck up. I don't care what you want. I understand I posted it on the internet. I understand you want your opinion, but your opinion doesn't matter. Because if you do something in your practice, and no matter what you work with, no matter if you just work alone, you will know if you overstepped or fucked something up, because your spirit guides or ancestors or deities or whatever energy you work with, normally they will notify you. Which is one of the reasons I look at some of the videos that I see online and I'm like, what you're saying is in your practice versus what you're actually doing, they're contradicting each other. Like, there have been so many times I've gotten so fucking triggered that I've spent 20 minutes making a 3-minute video, only to, right as I go to hit the post button, my ancestors are like, don't you fucking do it. So I wind up deleting it. That's a great practice though. Just make sure you don't accidentally hit that post button. But have there been certain things in my practice that I've done where my ancestors are like, nope, we ain't touching this with a 5-foot pole? Yes, they have. But that is also another important thing to have in your foundation. When and when not to cast. What do I mean by this? when or when not to actually go down the magical route. Always go down the mundane route if you can. Secondly, ask yourself, is it worth it? And I made a video about this before, and some of the responses is fucking incredible. It's almost like they say with a tattoo. Before you get a tattoo permanently placed on your body, have it hung up on your refrigerator or put it as the screen of your phone. And do that for like a month. After that month, if you can still stand to look at it, then, depending on your feelings, get it. The same is with that. If you feel like somebody has fucked you or something like that and you want to go down the baneful route, think on it. Sleep on it. Do you feel the same way the following morning? That's what I mean by that. Because there are so many people that will be throwing these hexes and they're like, oh, well, there's no consequences. There is, though. And no, I'm not talking about karma. We do not associate karma here because it's been too whitewashed. What I mean by that is all these people, they'll start throwing this shit, right? And this is what winds up happening with the conversations of people getting hit. What winds up happening is somebody who doesn't know what the fuck they're doing properly. I'm not saying they're a bad witch. I'm saying they don't know the proper steps. They'll wind up throwing something and it won't actually hit the witch. It'll hit their wards. And depending on how you have your wards set up, it's going to slingshot that back. That's what we mean by that. Not to mention there are multiple practitioners. Their wards are not just an item. They are a spirit. They are a servitor. And you can really get fucked up. If you go to collect something, graveyard dirt, cemetery dirt, death water, whatever it is, if you don't do it properly and listen to the area around you, listen to the spirits around you, you can get fucked up. And no, when I say that, I'm not saying you're going to bring home a fucking spirit and it's going to fully possess you. First, you're going to have to go through oppression before you get to possession. But it can cause like physical things to happen. It can manipulate the energy in your house and get you to fight with whoever the hell you live with. It can manipulate your depression, your anxiety, your mental state. It doesn't necessarily have to possess you to actually do something to you. That's what we mean by astral hitchhikers. They are literally parasites that literally is just not literally drain the life out of you, but it drains the energy out of you. And due to the fact that people don't want to do their research, and I know that's annoying as fuck, because you're telling us to do this research, but you're not telling us how. How do you research stuff for a book? How do you research stuff in life? You go to not Google. If you do go to Google, go to like the 8th page on Google. You go to DuckDuckGo, being some type of alternative web browser. And shit, now we have YouTube and fucking podcast. Notice how I did not say TikTok. We have podcasts. There are great creators on TikTok that can teach you, but you're going to need more than a 3-minute to a 60-second video. But like history-wise, if you want to learn certain histories, try looking up a YouTube video about it. Try looking up multiple ones, not just one, multiple ones. Use if you have ADHD, if you have dyslexia, whatever you have, use that to work with the way that it works for you. You're not trying to put yourself back in school where you're constantly having teachers, fucking 40 kids in one room, and you're looking down at your paper to take notes, and next thing you know, you're 3 chapters ahead because you don't learn the same way. Don't put yourself back through there. Figure out the way that you learn and then do that. Make a list. What excites you in witchcraft? What topics excite you the most? Break that down. Okay, most common question. Well, what type of witch am I? You're a witch who practices different type of magic. It's the most simplest way to word that. I understand a lot of people like to put celestial, moon, and all this other stuff because it kind of lets people know what you specialize in. And if you want to do that, by all means, do that. But for me, because for so long, when I told people, because I used to tell people that I'm a witch, they would automatically go to, oh, you're Wiccan. Sure, for the sake of this conversation and me not to have to explain 1,000 times over that there's more branches than just Wicca, yes, I'm Wicca. And then I stopped that, and then I was like, you know what? No, I'm pagan. Very broad umbrella term. I've even stopped that now. Because technically, yes, I'm pagan, but yeah, I'm also a psychic and a medium, but I don't call myself a psychic or a medium. Because why? Witches also have those abilities too, and a witch suits me more. Everybody's going to be different. Another cool, interesting thing to work on, and a lot of people don't talk about this, and it's really fucking exciting too, coming up with your witch's name. Do you need a witch's name? No, no, you do not. What are the perks of having a witch's name? Well, for one, you are not going to tell a single fucking soul unless you trust this person fully with your life. Why is this? Because when you have a witch's name and somebody tries to throw something your way, it's going to be slightly harder to hit because magically speaking, as spirits and ancestors and deities will identify you as that sacred name. You can come up, it does not matter how long, what the name is, but I would preferably try to kind of soul search, dig deep inside and ask your soul, like self-reflecting, what is that name? And a lot of the times when you stop thinking about it, it's just gonna pop into your head. Beelzebub, go the fuck away. Yes, I named him Beelzebub. Nobody come at me, I know I'm weird. But a witch's name is really, really cool to have. And once you get your witch's name, another question that I've gotten is, do you have to be initiated and or can you self-initiate yourself? Yes and yes, depending on the practice. There are hundreds of thousands of self-initiations. Most of them are Wicca-based, but again, take that one and deconstruct it to fit it to yours. What I do with an initiation? Like I said, you can either write your own or Google one, find one in a book, change it, add things that you like on it, and basically set your space up. Whether that's a circle, whether you're opening the crossroads, whether you're throwing a compass, whatever you do, and then literally do a full ritual. That being summoning the energies that you work with, properly opening that sacred space that you're in, whatever that is. Because a lot of people focus on, oh, well, the reason we use the circle in witchcraft is protection. Yes, but no. Yes, it's for protection, but primarily it's creating a linear space. It's creating a space between, well, reality versus the spiritual world. And then you're in a, most common one is a circle. You're in a bubble. Again, as above, so below. That's what that is. And that's what also where the witch's pyramid comes in at. It's 8 different ways of altering your perception. Scientifically, through most of them are breathing exercises, or like dancing, drumming. There are things that can alter and match up with your heart rate. Your heart rate being what carries oxygen and blood through your body, and we all know what happens if we don't get enough oxygen. We start to get a little spacey. We start to get a little lightheadedness. Those are things that you need depending on what you're doing in your practice. You're changing your perspective. Again, you're also going through a linear space. I've had rituals that I've done to where by the time that I was done, I had to take a shower and change because I had completely sweated through all of my fucking clothes. But again, not all of them are like that. And then, and if you really want to figure out or feel what a linear space feels like, go outside or somewhere inside that you're not going to knock anything over and you're not going to hit anything. And you're literally just going to close your eyes, or no, actually keep your eyes open. And you're going to stick your arms out and you're going to spin around like you're a fucking helicopter. That right there. And if you have a favorite witchy song, whether that's like the popular pagan ones on YouTube, sing that. Or if you have a chant, chant that. And then ask yourself, just do that. Do that one thing when you can today. You will feel what it is like to be in a linear space. And those are important. Those are extremely important. Now, again, depending on what you are, I would necessarily, and eventually I am going to do it. I promise you that. I am going to be doing a couple of tutorials once I figure out how to fully do them, to where I'll have one which is known as throwing the compass. It's traditional witchcraft. I'll have one of how I open up the crossroads using crossroad dirt. And then the third one will be the basic circle opening. Now, when I do those, I will be falsely doing those. What I mean by that is I'm not actually going to be connecting with the energies and summoning that just for the sake of the video. But in general, though, I will be doing those. And then you yourself can look at, depending on what you like, look at it into that. Now, if you do go and collect some type of dirt, again, there are more than just graveyard and cemetery dirt. If you need legal matters, either a judge, as in like a business where a judge or lawyers are at, and or a courthouse. If you need financial help, a bank, dirt from a bank. Literature or schooling, college or a high school or a library. Safety for your house, police station dirt and or firefighter dirt, or hospital dirt, depending on how you want to work that. You can use dirt like that in your practice. And the cool thing is specifically about crossroad dirt, and or if you have any other, we'll say power spot that you know that is like very heavy with energy, after going through the proper steps of respectfully getting that, once you bring that dirt home, again, this also ties into being able to tap into energy or the essence of things. You can use that dirt to actually open a one-way, not a two-way, a one-way line that will connect it to that major property where that power source is out of energy, say a ley line or an underground river, back to your actual property. So you're bringing that sacred space there to your house. And you can do this with multiple dirts. Like Marie Laveau has an entire altar, not Marie Laveau, sorry. Bloody Mary, why did I just say Marie Laveau? Bloody Mary has an entire altar that has like 6 to 7 to like basically dirt from all around the world. Basically what I want to do. I would love to get dirt from some of the oldest places around the world and be able to combine that and use that in my practice. Holy shit. Like I have recently, somebody sent me dirt and mud from Maine, due to the mountains that are up there. So how can I use that? Well, for one, I can tap into that and use the energy to connect that mountain, aka the Ozark Mountain or Appalachian Mountains, depending on how you look at it. I can be able to tap into the energy of that while here being in Florida. And these are things that they don't talk about a lot. Now, depending on what you're trying to do, like the Blood and Bone book that I have, part 2 or chapter 2 to me was a kind of a red flag, because I love that book, do not get me wrong, but the problem that I had was there wasn't enough information in what it's like to draw down or to become a god or goddess. Basically, you're drawing them into you. You are fully taking them in. If you are not ready for that, you can be hurt, or you can get sick. Not to mention, you also need to make sure you can identify with what you are actually talking to or doing with. We do not use the term demon, but there are trickster spirits. Trickster spirits will basically tell you what you want to know and or hear, but in reality, there's a sinister move behind it. That's one of the reasons the Ouija board. Yes, it can be a safe thing to use, but most of the time it's not, because it's like just randomly chat roulette, the website where like you randomly connect with random strangers online. It's basically that. You don't know who you're connecting with. And that's also where a lot of tricksters come in. So if you were to ever use that, just like you've seen in movies and read in books, you're going to ask, if you're trying to connect to an ancestor and you think you connected with it, you're going to ask questions that only they would know. And even then, take that with a grain of salt. And whatever you do, do not burn it. If you burn it, you are burning down that door. A lot of people think, well, fire is cleansing, so I can just cleanse it. No, you're burning down that door and you're opening a portal. Which reminds me, I have that TikTok video to do. I did a past life spell, well, a video of a past life spell. And a lot of people asked, well, how do you close the portal once you open it? And I'm like, what portal? Why are so many people obsessed with opening portals and fucking mirrors? You're not opening a portal. You're using the reflective aspect of it to reflect onto what? Your past life. I fear for a lot of people because they're gonna be thinking, and like we said earlier, you know, thoughts shape our reality. So like you said, the more that you put belief into something, the more that it becomes real. A lot of people are gonna be fucking up recently, and or they're gonna be fucking up and inviting and creating all different types of shit, and they're gonna like, oh my god, I've been hexed. No, you have not been hexed, Sandra. You have just fucking put power into too many things, and now you've created like these miniature egregores and fucking holy shit. Anyways, um, I'm trying to mentally go over the list that I had in my head. Yeah, I think that. Also, with that, a lot of people are like, well, how do I know when I get to that point of where like, you know, you're not afraid to cast a spell, you're not afraid to set up an altar. You will know. You yourself will know. It's just like the first time I actually introduced myself as a witch, I didn't mean to do it. I was not intending to do it. It kind of just came out. That's me, or that's my way, my body's way of saying you're ready for this. Um, but in general, just make it fun. Do not get too serious. And some of the best witches that I've ever read their books of and or met have all said the same thing. If you were doing a spell or a ritual, if you're doing a spell or a ritual and you fumble on what you're doing, as in reading, or you fumble on a step, do not stop and do it all over again. Do not do that. Laugh, giggle, laugh at yourself, and then continue where you were at. For one, the divine energies, whatever energies you work with, they understand that we are imperfectly perfect humans. We're going to fuck up, we're going to make mistakes. But if you take it too serious and try to become a perfectionist with it, a lot of times you're going to get frustrated. Like if you decide to make your own tools, like a broom, or to carve your own wand, when you start doing that and you get frustrated, stop, put it down, and walk away, and then come back later. The reason that is because if you go about things and it starts becoming a task or a chore, you're not going to want to do it, and you're going to lose that inspiration and spark. But if you treat it like, well, for adults, when their kids go to sleep and they finally get to tap into their green medicine, things like that, like make it a reward or make it an escape. Make it joyful though, and don't make it to where it's like homework. Um, have fun with it. Yes, witchcraft it does need to be taken seriously, obviously, but at the same time, not everything in witchcraft is serious. You need to have fun with it a little bit. If not, like I said, you're going to get very, very stern and strict, and then it's just, you're not going to feel what you felt before. Um, I think I got all my points across. At least to help beginners kind of set that foundation and start. Um, holy shit. Oh, what the fuck happened? Hold on, y'all. I had no idea any of these happened. For some reason, and it's live chat too. For some reason, none of these showed up. Alright, so hold on. I gotta go back and read these. Okay. There we go. Like, I thank them for correcting me for using the wrong name and writing down the wrong name. Like, the fuck? I barely have any followers, so like me and 250 followers will definitely give clout babies. Oh, thank you. Trish uses they, them pronouns. Oh yeah, thank you. They. I thought I said that wrong, but I wasn't for sure. Sorry to the internet. I did not mean to misuse pronouns. Them, they. I've had some plants that palms that were related to each other, and they were almost clones. Only the parent, however, actually studied and involved. Oh, holy shit! This may if you want to do a past life reading with you. Not that I will, but you know. Ooh, I like that. Do you think you will ever reschedule the interview with the Lady Grave Dancer? Yes, I'm hoping to. I'm hoping to. Around the time that I tried to like redo that, they were doing their online collab with like multiple other people, and it just hasn't came back up yet. But yes, I definitely will. Or at least I hope I will. Someone with Harrington abilities takes it for granted. Their birth stars are not spiritual, so the gifts take a back seat. That actually makes sense for a lot of people that I met. This makes me feel lucky that one of the deities locked away most of my childhood trauma. Directed to you, to my low spoons offering video. I'm not devoted into prayer or anything. I, however, working on my palmistry, I'm like throwing up gang signs all day, lol. Oh, I bet it's funny to look at. How do you deal with judgment from others, like skeptics and other religions believers that don't agree? Excuse me, now that's actually a really good question. That question would just be, I've felt the power. Like, I know myself and the things that I've experienced. And the way that I look at that is, I know some, we'll say Christians for just religious purposes, they can walk in and be touched by the Holy Spirit. That's what they experience. I've only experienced that twice. But the stuff that I have experienced and or the stuff that I predicted or said was going to happen, and then the people around me were like, oh, holy shit. I've kind of learned to just brush it off. Like, not everybody I'm going to admit is going to believe me, and that's perfectly okay at the end of the day. And I'm not here to try to convince or convert anybody into that, because then I would be doing the same thing that certain Christians do. But I always leave that invitation there of like, well, you know, if you ever do want to see if this is real, just let me know. And so far, knock on wood, that's never bit me in the ass. I tell people if your gods exist, then call them down for a chat. I'll wait. Oh, I love that. I legit have my guides go, nope, that's none of your business anymore. And I was like, but when I was like, yes! What are you talking about? I'm not sure if that's spelled correctly. Oh, the tattoo hack doesn't work with me. I'm impulsive as fuck. I legit walked into a tattoo shop and dropped $250 on the table and said, stab me, ma'am. Oh, I love that. The hand chalker signs a lot to put the lines. I have a story about something like that. My son almost died and got himself a grippy sock vacation. Oh, holy shit. I hope he's okay. It's my practice. Keep out of it. TikTok is a regurgitation of a Google search. It really is, and a really bad Google search. And that's one of the things that slightly pissed me off with the first person who stitched that video yesterday. They said that I did not know how to use Google, and I'm a bad witch for that. And I'm like, there's a reason I don't use Google, because Google sucks, especially for searching and researching witchcraft. And that also outed that person, stating that to me, that basically means that witch gets all of their information from Google. And that's just not a good thing. This is going to sound crazy, but when I do research, I go to Wikipedia and then go to their sources. No, I love that. That's what I also go to. I'll go to their sources. There was one site, I've got to find it again. It had a lot of the witches' sources in it. Palmistry search on TikTok results with 15 people regurgitating what Google said. The brain went helicopter from TikTok. Me waking up to my uncle's house and collecting dirt from his house because he's a lawyer. Yes! See, there you go. Be careful who you share with. Exactly. Names have power. Adopting or associating your names with a popular name like religious god or incense can be draining. That moment of cancer patient calls. The name healing. You're right about keeping your name a secret. Yes! That depends on if you believe in names have power or not. I personally believe that if you have a name, you don't have power over me. I agree in the same one. If you live in an apartment type of residence, then you gotta guard against pulling people's alignments while you sleep. When sleeping with your aura, it expands down the hallway. My name isn't sacred to me, it's simply my name. There are other things that are sacred to me. See, I like that though. I love these comments because it all shows that like we're all different. A friend of mine kept getting stick and sticker and couldn't figure out why. I told him to block and stay up at night when everyone else is asleep. He is better, but his neighbors are back to their age. Oh, I knew I was guarded from Sprout to Witch, and I was like, hilarious story about a coven leader saying breasted bee. Oh, I love it. You ignored all the messages. Lotus, good job. Proud of you. I didn't even mean to. I was like, I kept looking at the screen and I'm like, wow, nobody's saying anything. That's new. That's different. And then my finger hit it and I'm like, oh shit. My existence that I acknowledge isn't human. I'm a rainbow-colored lightning bolt, moonwalking sideways along the beach, leaving footsteps. Oh, I love that. But yeah. Now, this next few weeks is going to be extremely chaotic and hectic. I have a lot of interviews, as in I still have to set times and dates, and then I have 2 that I have to do. And that's all hoping if my father-in-law like stays healthy and does good. Um, so far though, the last update that I got on him was his oxygen's a little low, I think, but other than that, he may be going home tomorrow. So hope and pray he does and he gets released, because if he passes away, I have no idea about the chaos that that's going to bring, because I live here in Florida and my family, my mom lives in Alabama. And yeah, that's just going to be a lot of bump in the roads that I'm not looking forward to. But I'm still going to be making content and all of that, depending on how everything goes. It's just, yeah. So, but with that being said, I am still going to continue with the Appalachian folk omen signs and superstitions. I am eventually, very soon, also going to start posting them over here, because I know that I'm dramatically lacking in content on here. But luckily, though, knock on fucking wood, I did get my memory on my phone straightened out, so I should be able to do a couple of videos. That will probably not be today, though, because it is hot AF, as y'all can tell. Like, as soon as I get through this live, I'm eating and then going to lay down up under the AC for at least about an hour. And then I'll probably get back up and go live on TikTok. Possibly. I'm not for sure. But yeah, that's where we're at right now. The latest episode of my podcast is posted, and that is Let's Take a Walk in the Swamp with Lucky 13. Really incredible episode. And then if you want to hear the episode and follow another amazing podcast as well, there are 2 of them. One of them sounds very sexual, but I promise you it's not, and it's all about spirituality, which is Lick It Like a Lollipop. Y'all are going to love that one. I love that one. And then the second one, which is the one that I just got featured on, is Coven of Rejects. You can find that on Apple, Spotify, Applecast, Spotify, Anchor, all of that. Yeah, very great conversations with all 3 of those. I'm also super excited for the interviews that I have coming up, because if you've been following me for a while, especially for my Facebook page, you already know one of them that I'll be interviewing. But also, thank you for that comment with Lady Gravedancer, because I need to check in to see if we can schedule something. Because originally they wanted me on their actual live, and then I wanted to do an interview with them on my podcast. But yeah, so far that's how everything's going. I have successfully made 7 of my Oracle cards. I'm super excited about those. I will eventually be doing some type of like small little preview. I also got to do something exciting yesterday. Why I did it, I still have not figured that one out yesterday. But when I went to go feed the crows, some of the rice that I had thrown out earlier was still there, and it gathered a shit ton of ants. So my witchy self, thank God my partner loves me and my neighbors already know I'm crazy, because I went out there and collected some and then popped them in the freezer, which is the fastest way to euthanize an insect. They don't feel it, they just get cold and go to sleep. But yeah, I'm excited because I have ants. I have no idea why I have ants, but I was told to gather ants. So this is going to be fun. But yeah, that's how that is. Okay. I do still have, I've been having issues trying to find wet specimen jars. So as soon as I get those and go over TikTok guidelines, I should be able to post, YouTube guidelines. I should be able to post it because it's nothing gory. I'm going to be doing a video of that. And I know I've been lacking on my oil videos. It's just there are a lot of days I haven't had it in me or the motivation to. But that's all changing. But yeah, in general, to anybody who rewatches this, I'm still doing the sale on my full Oracle readings for $10. You get a full reading. That's either a general or 2 questions. Oh, I was like, what the fuck? It's not trash day. I'm assuming FedEx or... Yep. FedEx or Amazon's out there. Not for me. But yeah, that's that. I also, obviously, if y'all did not know, you can email me, firelotusthewitch@gmail.com, if you have a question about your practice or about a spell, if you would want to have a magical consultation. And the reason that I provide the magical consultation is because I and other witches have, like, somebody came to us for services, and then actually, after asking them what their goal was, we figured out that, like, I've had some people who do not need a reading, they needed spell work, and then vice versa. Because magic cannot cure everything, and magic is not for everything. It can help, but it's not for everything. Um, but yeah, with that being said, I'm also still doing the honey jar that will be made on the 30th, which is the new moon. Email me if you're interested about that. We have a Discord. It'll be attached to this video. So yeah, other than that, I'm gonna go ahead and hop off here because I've got to fix me some lunch. Um, and yeah, kind of like uncheck for an hour. Obviously, also respond to messages. But yeah, until then, thank y'all so much for everybody that has liked, shared, subscribed, followed. My ultimate goal this year is to hit 1,000. I don't actually think I'm gonna hit 1,000 this year, but I'm still putting it out there that I will here on here on YouTube. But yeah, until then, I will talk to y'all later and or see y'all later. And if for any reason, if I decide not to go live on TikTok, then we'll do another after hour live on here. Yesterday's after hour live almost went for 3 hours. Actually, I think it did almost go for 3 hours. I think it was like 2 hours and 44 minutes. Anyways, I love you all. You're all magical, and I hope you all have a great day. Peace.